Good day, IOA. This is Ellen Miller. I'm the Executive Director of IOA, and I'm so happy to be here today with Mollie Berg. Mollie Berg is the president of our Board of Certification, and we kindly refer to that as our co-op board. Thanks for being with us, Mollie.
Sure.
So we just wanted to talk today a little bit about co-op, explain what co-op is, explain why we created co-op, a little bit about the process, and share some updates with you all. I know many people are worried about the status of the exam platform, so we want to provide you as much information as possible. So let's just really start globally in the macro point and tell us a little bit about co-op and what's the value proposition of co-op. You're co-op certified, you're the president of the co-op board. Tell us why co-op's important.
Sure. Thanks. So first of all, co-op is Certified Organizational Ombudsman Practitioner, or Ombuds Practitioner, since we're now shortening it. That is the certification that you can obtain as a practicing organizational ombuds. The program has been around for a number of years. We have just over 100 certified ombuds at this point. A number have gone through, a number have also gotten recertified. So I myself have been recertified, I guess, twice now, because I've been practicing for just over 10 years. So to me, the value of co-op is a few things. One, it shows a commitment to the professional standards. So to seek out the certification, you have to be practicing to the standards. It tests your knowledge and skills. It shows that you know how to do the work, how to uphold the standards, and how to do the work within the organization that you are in. And so I think there is value in saying, yes, I know how to do this. I'm doing it the way that it needs to be done, and I'm committed to that. I also think for some people, it can add credibility. So again, using myself as an example, I'm in an organization that has a lot of analysts who have their own certification process. So to them, certification means something. And if I can say to them, well, I'm certified in my profession, it adds credibility. It tells them that, okay, I've gone through a process like they have, to affirm that I, again, know the practices, know the standards, and am doing things consistently over time. So I think
Great.
those are two important things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing more and more employers either requiring co-op or wanting somebody to be in the position for 2 years and then apply for co-op. So we're seeing it in the marketplace as well, reach more credibility.
Yeah.
So tell us about the process. You mentioned there's, of course, an exam that we test, and then there's a recertification process. So tell us about all of that.
Sure. So you can take the exam at any point, and we'll talk about the exam, of course, is not currently being offered. We will get into that and we'll share what's going on. But you can take the exam at any point. There's no bar that you have to cross. You don't have to be practicing for a certain amount of time, although it's recommended that you take it after practicing for about a year. So it's designed to test somebody who is relatively new in the profession, and would have the knowledge and skills acquired over about a year. So there's the exam piece. There is an eligibility committee that is part of the Board of Certification, and they evaluate the applications for certification. So an individual will fill out the application, turn that in along with their exam results. That goes to the eligibility committee that reviews their information and then schedules an interview with that person. The committee interviews them, again, to make sure that they are practicing to the standards, that they do know the standards, are practicing to them, are practicing appropriately within their organization. If they are deemed eligible to be certified, then the eligibility committee provides that information back to IOA to say, yes, this person can be certified, and then they are granted that credential. That credential is good for 4 years. So after 4 years, you have to recertify. Recertification requires 60 hours of professional development that can be acquired in any manner across those 4 years. So you could do 60 hours in 1 year, you could do 15 hours each of 4 years, but you have to acquire 60 hours. There is a recertification committee, and they are the ones responsible for reviewing those recertification applications, ensuring that people have their credits and are eligible to be recertified.
Terrific. And I should share, the IOA set up a separate board to maintain, that's pretty common in associations that offer certification. And it's meant to be walled so that it's maintaining the integrity of the process. So it's a related board. It still sort of falls under the IOA umbrella, of course, and it's a partner board to the IOA board of directors, but it's intentionally walled to maintain the integrity of the process. So, we're very transparent about that piece. We're currently in the middle of a review of co-op. Co-op's been around for a long time, and we have a nice body of those who've been certified, but ideally we'd like more to be certified. And so we've hired an outside consultant to do some assessment of the process. And we've also just stood up this joint task force looking at whether we should consider program accreditation. So there's a lot of review happening right now in the co-op space. You've been working with Sue Divany as the co-chairs of this joint accreditation group. So tell us the timing of that group's work. And,
Sure.
If you can give us any updates and flavor from that work.
Sure. So we stood up, I think it was about a year ago. Is that about right, Ellen?
That sounds right.
So we've been meeting monthly. We've been looking at certification and potential program accreditation. We have always had a challenge with the individual certification because part of what it asks is whether your program is aligned properly within your organization. That has been challenging. We would like to get hundreds more certified organizational ombuds, and sometimes people are prevented from getting that certification because of the questions around the program. So what we've been looking at over this year is to see if we can pull those things apart, look at accrediting the program, and then truly making the certification individual based on knowledge, skills, and abilities, and not based on the organization that you are within.
Right.
So we're getting very close. I think within about the next month, we will have a proposal for the IOA board. They would ultimately have the decision authority to create program accreditation. So we're going to provide our recommendation that we do this to the IOA board. And then hopefully early in the new year, we will be able to start building this out and really figuring out how to now co-create a program accreditation and a truly individual certification.
Yeah, thanks. And that's been something that was in the IOA strategic plan. That's something that's been a discussion point within the co-op board for many years. So it's really nice to see this body of work moving to this place. And I should say at the last board meeting in October, when the IOA board meets, we meet monthly, but we don't meet in person. We only meet in person twice a year, one in conjunction with annual and the other one in the fall for a strategic meeting. And we spent a considerable amount of time at that meeting with you talking about co-op and how to strengthen the relationship between the boards, sort of what we need to do to make this program more robust. So a lot of time and effort has been spent on that, not just because the strategic plan told us to, but we really want to make co-op certification as accessible to as many people as possible, because it's not just about the individual, but that's a way that we increase awareness about this important work and this important field is by having more people certified.
This whole year, it's been so wonderful to really feel like a partner with the IOA board. You mentioned that we as a board of certification are walled off intentionally, but I think we've been working really hard to build those relationships between the boards and find more spaces where we can interact and overlap and just really work together. And so that to me has been just wonderful. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's one of those things that happens in associations where you're told to wall. And so we build this tower and we really, we built a huge tower without any intentional bridges, and there were meant to be bridges. We just, as an organization, didn't know where to build those bridges without impacting the integrity. So I appreciate you spending more time on that point, because I think we have really looked at how we can better partner together to move things forward. And I think that will serve everybody better. So let's talk about the exam platform, because, we know many people are waiting, and we have been in a bit of a pickle, honestly, because our prior exam platform provider was, as many vendors post-COVID became exorbitantly, inaccessibly expensive. And we did not want to be in a position of passing those costs on to the person who wanted to take the exam. So as a result, we shopped and found a really great vendor, but they were so great, we're kind of in queue. So tell us a little bit about that process and what our hopes are.
Yeah. So I guess it's been, I think our last exam was spring of 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, we've taken, I used this term before, a dramatic pause in the exams, and an unintentional one. But as you said, our previous platform became cost prohibitive. We just couldn't continue with them. So a small group of us, got together and yeah, we found this great new platform, and we've been working with them since to get everything up and running. And it's taking some time. The last update I think we got was by the end of this month, we might have things put together enough to start offering the exam early in the new year. That is the hope. The one nice thing about this new platform is it allows more test taking options, meaning you don't have to go to a brick and mortar location. It will allow taking the exam online, which also means that we will be able to offer the exam more frequently throughout the year. So previously we had only had 2 exam windows, one in the spring and one in the fall. This new platform will allow us to open that up a lot more. So we've talked about at least starting with quarterly, but depending on the volume of people, and I know that there are a lot of people waiting to take the exam, a lot of people that are ready to take it. So depending on that volume, we may be able to open up even more, at least kind of early in the year, to get people through and then see what makes the most sense going forward. But it's hard because we don't have full control over this. The Board of Certification doesn't have control over executing the contract. And so there's just a lot of pieces and parts that have to come together. So hopefully we're close. I'm so hopeful.
I'm hopeful too. And, that's also part of the integrity of these certification processes. We as IOA can't admit, we can't stand up our exam. We can't do this ourselves. You need a third party to be able to certify that the process is also controlled and contained and has integrity. So we're also in this situation. For those of you who are in positions and your position description or your HR department is sending you emails saying, where's your co-op certification? I'd be happy to send a letter to explain the situation to any organization. So just feel free to reach out at email or at ombudsassociation.org, and I'd be happy to send you a letter. Well, this is great. Anything else that we should share at this point? We'll come back early next year with more updates, but anything else you want to tell our colleagues?
I think we've covered most of it. Just hang tight because we're working really hard. I don't want anyone to think that we're not paying attention to the certification and what's going on. There's a bunch of us that have been working really hard on this, and we know that it matters and that people are interested, and we really, really, really want to grow it to make this a big part of IOA and something that is valuable to more people than the ones who are currently certified. So stick with us. We're getting there. Feel free to ask questions anytime, engage in, dialogue, share your ideas. We're here.
Thanks, Molly. And there's a whole tab at the top of our homepage, www.ombudsassociation.org. At the top, there's a tab called certification. So you can click and get all of the information. There's a wonderful video that explains the process. Just learn as much as you can in the process. So thanks very much. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing for co-op. We have a wonderful co-op communications committee that is doing posts on social media and also in community. So if you have questions, feel free to also pop over there into community and post some questions, and people will get right back to you. Thanks so much, Molly. Always a pleasure working with you. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Bye.